Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Monday. We are going live today with Michali, and we're going to be answering a question that was asked to me via the AMAs. We're just going to wait for some of you to show up, and for Michali, of course. I see you, Michali. Let me add you. I think I accepted it. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Hi, Michali. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Okay. I'm doing well, thank God. How are you?
Glad to hear. I'm good. I'm
Yeah, I
cold.
know.
I'm always cold
Me too.
now.
I just closed my window and I made myself a hot tea. That's why I was a few minutes later.
So for anyone who's watching, if we're both going like this to our cups or
Yeah,
our
we're
mugs,
hugging,
you know why.
hugging your mug.
For circulation.
Yes, so it's like very cozy. I'm still in the middle of breakfast with my tea, and yeah, feels good.
Amazing.
I love the morning. Like as soon as it turns like not morning, I'm like, oh, I really like the morning.
I'm like a morning wannabe, a morning lover
Okay.
wannabe. I wish I could sleep the whole morning, but I also wish I can be super productive the whole morning. So it's kind of like both. There's a lot of dissonance for
Yeah.
me.
Okay. I hear that. I could totally hear that.
Help
Yeah.
me,
No, I'm
Faye.
definitely morning.
Help me.
I'm gonna help you. We'll do that on one side. I mean, I feel like morning gets like a vibe of like you're a better person if you're a morning person, and it's so not true. Like some of the most successful people are night people and terrible morning people.
Yes.
So I really don't
Yeah.
think it has to do with anything. I think it's just like our culture that like prides themselves on being morning people. I happen to be a morning person. I fit into society in that way, I guess you can say. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish I was a night person. Like, tell me to do something at night, and I'm like, no, I can't stand the nights. Like, that's why we do lives in the morning.
The older I get, though, then I find like I'm not a morning person, or now I'm starting to not become a night person. I used to be able to go to sleep 1 or 2 in the morning, no
Yeah.
problem. And now it's like my brain's like really done by 10 o'clock.
That's really
Doesn't mean I go
late
to
though.
sleep at 10
Yeah,
o'clock,
that's
but it's
really
done
late
at 10
though.
o'clock.
Like for me, my brain is done at like 7 or like yeah, 6, 7. I'm serious.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess it depends for what. Like I could be social in the evening, but like I can't get work done in the evening. Like there's no way. Like everything will take me much longer, and I'll be distracted like 10 times more. So.
Well, see, this is why you and I basically cover the whole clock. So,
Totally.
so whoever needs help in the morning, go to Faye, and
Exactly.
whoever needs help at night,
In the
go to
evening, go to
Michali.
Michali. I love it. I love it. So everyone, in case you wonder like what our conversations are like off Instagram lives, this is what they
This is
consist of.
basically what it sounds like, or other philosophical ideas,
Exactly.
we'll stir you guys from. But hi, everybody. I see some people joined from
I know.
Manchester. That's really
I
cool.
wanted to say hi to them too. That's so cool. Hi from
And a
Manchester.
few
Thank you for
other
joining. I like this.
people said hi. I love
Yes.
the
Hi,
hi.
Eileen. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Okay.
Okay.
Other people also like the mornings, I think, but the morning lives at least.
Yes.
So we have
All right.
like a little bit of like a somber question for today, but
Yeah.
it's good that we started up a little bit chirpy.
Yes. So the question is, my mom was just diagnosed with cancer. Firstly, what kind of support is out there? And secondly, how do I manage home life, work life, singlehood and dating, and my personal life? Thank you.
Yeah.
Ah, my
My
gosh.
heart like literally like skipped a beat when I read this question. I was like, ouch, like because like
Yeah.
I'm single, so like I can identify with that stage in life, and there's so much going on, and like at that point, you so badly want parental figures to be like so stable.
Yeah.
Um,
You need your mama
yeah,
also.
exactly. And I was just like, ouch, 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 and we must address this, even though I have nothing. Like I like because my emotions took over. I was like, I don't even know what to say, but I felt like Michali is gonna know what to say because I think you've spoken about this before. That you're, like you've had similar like we've had this conversation before, right? Like I'm
About
not
cancer, we
yeah.
have. Yeah. I mean, I feel similarly. Like I have a big lump in my throat right now. Just even reading it, just seeing the word cancer, even, and then mom next to the word cancer. But I'm going to speak from both a professional place, but I'm also going to insert my heart and my emotions into it because I
Yeah.
think that, that's that's why I'm a human therapist, not a robot therapist, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. AI is not
um,
taking over Michali sessions.
no, AI is not going to be invited unless they want to do like billing, but
That makes sense. Yeah.
so I mean, first of all, I think that just even the order of the questions is so brilliant, because I think you're 100% right that support is going to be needed, and that is going to actually answer the second question, which is how to manage home life, work life, singlehood, dating, and your
Yeah.
personal life. Like, that support is what's going to create the oxygen and the space to manage and navigate all those things.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that you said that,
it
because
does,
when I read the question, I was like right away, like very mind blown by the maturity, and I didn't even like
yeah,
pinpoint. I was just like, wow. And now you like delineated why I was so
yeah,
impressed by the question. Not to be like, oh, I judge questions versus how like impressive they are, but like this question, just like the sequence of it, the composure, like taking everything into account was just like very much appropriately done. And I was just like, wow, like this person has a good head on their shoulders, and I just want to be
yeah.
them.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think even just your response on social media was so beautiful, and really reflected that intuition that you had about this. And I think, and not that this person's asking for this, but just I want to put this out there, especially if anyone else is listening, and they could relate to this question, that there's no such thing as a wrong emotion here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I think that everyone responds differently to information like this. So some people are numb, some people roll up their sleeves and go into like practical logistics, like solution focused kind of mode.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are devastated and depressed and they can't get out of bed. Some people feel angry at God. Some people are angry at the parent who's sick. Some people just become bitter, resentful, or just they get angry very easily. Like, there's just so many different reactions that a person can have, and they're all
Mm-hmm.
normal. They're all normal. They're all to be expected when someone who's close to us is diagnosed with something that's terminal. Now, in terms of support, so I want to differentiate between, there's like the medical
Mm-hmm.
support, there's the mental health support, there's also like logistics kind of support. And I know in Baltimore, there's an amazing organization called the Jewish Caring Network, and they help with so many different types of services, whether it's, like getting pizza for the families once a week,
Mm-hmm.
or therapy services,
Wow.
or, helping with simchas, or just having like mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and then people driving people to appointments,
Mm-hmm.
like, connections to doctors and medical teams. Like, just, there's so many things that this organization does that helps people navigate something as big and overwhelming and scary as this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where this person lives, but
Right.
I'm sure, like, if they live in a big Jewish community, there's something like
Right.
that. Um,
Does High
I think also,
Lifeline help with this, or is it only for children with cancer? Like, I wonder if
so
they.
I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
think they do more like
Mm-hmm.
children.
But I think they help. They
But
help like with like the logistics piece that you're saying, because I know
yeah,
that years ago I drove for High Lifeline, and I was driving, meaning like it wasn't only for children. I think it was anything. So like I think like that. I love how you broke it down into like medical support, which is probably not in this girl's wheelhouse necessarily to find the medical support. I'm hoping that that's not her responsibility. There's the emotional support, which of course we have to address, and then there's the logistics, which is like, okay, if you know of something that can be helpful, instead of you having to drive the mom to appointments, every day of the week, or someone else in the family having to do that. If there's a way to, hand that over to an organization that does that. So I think that High Life is
yeah.
definitely a good try.
I honestly don't know, but definitely worth looking into.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other piece is like just the relational piece, right? Which is like, what has your relationship with your mother been like? And I think just in the question, it sounds like the mother was more involved. If like this piece of news is shifting how this person is looking at how they can handle all these parts of their
Mm-hmm.
life, then my hunch is that the mom was somewhat involved in this person's life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question becomes like, okay, what's going to change? And having a conversation or many conversations with your mother, I think, is going to be really, really huge.
Mm-hmm.
Just because your mother got this diagnosis doesn't mean she stops being your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And and doesn't mean that she all of a sudden now can't handle tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ways that you can be helpful without parentifying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Parentifying means that you become the parent, and you assume the role of a parent to your own
Mm-hmm.
parents. And there's a difference between helping out and becoming a parent to your parent.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom can always still be your mom, even if she's
Mm-hmm.
sick. And I think having a conversation or many conversations with your mom saying, like, I'm scared, or, you know, if let's say you help me, you know, debrief after every single date, do you even know if you'll be able to do that? And it's okay if you don't. I'm just sharing, like, I'm scared. Like, who can I talk to about this? And what do
Mm-hmm.
I do? And do you have any ideas? And you know, how are you? And also asking, you know, the mom, like, questions. Like, a lot of times when we get this kind of news, we have so many questions, including, well, how is this person who just is, you know, just received this news about themselves, how are they doing? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we get scared to ask them those questions because they're such big questions.
Right.
And there can be a lot of intensity in the answers, but
Right.
ask,
And I'm
because
thinking,
that's going to make this real, and it's going to also maintain this close relationship,
right,
right?
right. And like, I think that, you know, to your point, like your mom still wants to be your mom, right? Like just because she got a diagnosis, and not to minimize that, obviously, but that doesn't mean that now she wants to shirk her, you know, the title of mom or the responsibilities of mom, especially something like hearing about, you know, maybe she can't do the errands like she used to, or, you know, run that errand for you, or, you know, do all that. Like the physical things might be more difficult, and that's maybe where you can pitch in or be creative about who else can. But like hearing about your date or hearing about whatever's going on in your life, even if that's going to create feelings for her, like that's most likely something that she wants to be able to handle, and that like not cutting her out of your life in that way would be very healing for her, really, to
Yeah.
keep that relationship. So I love that. I guess I'm thinking, like, I'm assuming this girl is an adult, right? Like even if she's still a child, like living at home or single. So like I guess I'm wondering about, like, you know, asking all the questions and like being very I guess like assertive about like what will you be able to do for me, what won't you be able to do for me. Like I guess the way I was hearing you say it was like that, but I'm assuming you didn't mean that, like meaning I would, or maybe we have a tiny bit of a difference of opinion, which is totally fine too, or I would be more like cautious about that because your mom is going through a lot right now, to put
Mm-hmm.
it very mildly. So like I would try to get the support from other people that are not going through as intense of a life change right now, and kind of try to like meter the questions and the um, reactions a little bit. That doesn't mean parentifying. That just means being smart about like containing and getting, and then finding another amazing resources to share everything with. So like
Mm-hmm.
every single thing that you address and that comes to your mind, like yes, you want to have a place to share that. But your mom, even if she was your number one go-to person for the next month, might not be that person. That doesn't mean forever she won't be, for sure. That doesn't mean that. But yeah, that's kind of like the only tweak that I had to what you had said.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I, I, I think that it's okay to ask the parent questions, and I think with giving space for them to say, I wish I could, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't. Um, I think that you know, there are going to be times, like, I don't know if the mom's going to be doing chemo, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are going to be times the mom is not accessible
Right.
to the child and to the adult child. And I agree with you in terms of like kind of diversifying your
Yeah.
assets, and like, you know, really having other places to go, other people that you can consult with and speak to,
Mm-hmm.
both for support and for whatever you've been relying on your mom
Mm-hmm.
for. But I think that before your mom even starts the treatment, right, before, like, just in this beginning stage of like just receiving a diagnosis, there's like, you know, minds are flying and going in circles in a million different directions. It's overwhelming and scary, and everyone's embarking on this like really, you know, grief like stricken process.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that, you know, having a few conversations with her mom and saying, look, you know, I don't know what it's going to be like for you, and you probably don't know what it's going to be like for you. And I don't want to put more on your plate. And at the same time, you're my mama, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so how can I, like, would you rather me, like, let's say for shidduchim, would you rather me speak to other people right now and just like kind of take off that off your plate.
Mhm.
Like if let's say the mom was like calling references or things like
Mhm.
that, um, that might be a great thing to give to somebody else that you
Mhm.
trust. But like in terms of like the questions, like, what I meant more was like asking, oh, like, what did the doctor say? Or
Mhm.
what do you feel? Or asking the mom, like, what do you think? Or what are you feeling?
Oh
And,
yeah, for sure. So
just
yeah,
like
and, yeah.
all the questions like that come from a place of curiosity and care,
Mhm.
like for them to like ask those questions. Cause I think a lot of times, um, people are scared to ask the person himself or herself,
Mhm.
those types of questions because they're scared that they're going to cause more pain or overwhelm or it's intrusive or whatever. But I think that those questions can actually make a person feel that much more supported
Yeah,
when like people don't become scared of the patient,
exactly.
right? And they're just like, oh, they're human beings who are also contending with this news. So I think in that way to ask a lot of questions
Right, right.
and then to ask questions based on like what you're scared of. Like if you feel scared about not having your mom for certain things, then like ask.
Mhm.
You can always ask and I think at the same time to make sure that you also have other people that you can go to for support or to consult with to get your needs met in other ways.
Yeah, yeah, and I think just to be smart, I think that this it doesn't sound like this girl has any problem with being smart about like her questions because I think her question was phrased really smartly. But I think yeah, like being smart about it and leaving room for error because you're human and you're going through a tremendous amount right now yourself. But like yeah, I guess like I wouldn't say like ask the questions of like who's going to do this and who's going to do that. Like, if you're having that like emotional, intense reaction, you probably want to diversify that one to like somebody that is not going through what your mom's going through. But if it's a question of like, from a more composed place and it's more of like logistic of like, what does the doctor say? I want to be in this with you. I want to know what's your next step. Do you want me to come to you with this or do you prefer I don't like those questions are for sure fine. So I think it does take a little bit of like trial and error and like even think like maybe the mom's reaction to a question of like what did the doctor say is going to like overwhelm her and throw her to a very dark place, and so maybe that's not the smartest question and you'll see that, but that's okay. Like you didn't do anything wrong, but just being smart about like okay, I can't, it might not be the best way for me to be supportive to myself or my mom to ask this
Mm-hmm.
kind of questions, and then I might want to you know
It's
go.
so funny. I feel like I feel a little bit differently with
Yeah.
that because I feel like, I mean, I'm just gonna like totally project my own like family here for a little bit, and also my clients. Like if like my kids were overwhelmed by something that I was going through, I would want them to bring up their intense feelings and fears and also with my clients. Like if something in my life, right, and I know I spoke about this publicly, so let's say like a chronic illness is kind of
Mm-hmm.
impacting scheduling, let's say, and I have to switch some things around for doctor's
Yeah,
appointments, right? And let's say I have a client who has a really hard feeling, a big intense negative feeling about that. I want them to bring it up to me and
for
I want to
sure,
process it
but
with
I
them.
think that's
Not
different.
not even like clinically, but just like for our relationship, because like it makes the relationship a closer, more connected relationship
Mm-hmm.
when they can say to me, Michali, I know this is so irrational, but I'm feeling really angry and I'm feeling like you're abandoning me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me to be able to say, thank you for telling me that. And I get why you feel that way. And just so you know, I'm not going
Right.
anywhere. Like I'm here, and
Mm-hmm.
like whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, you know what I mean? So like in that way,
Yeah, I
I
think
feel
we have
like,
a bit of a difference of opinion, but I agree with you in that way because there you're a therapist, so 100% there. But I know that even let's say with you and your kids, you'd probably be very similar. But again, you're a therapist. I don't know how this
right.
mom's emotional, you know, structure is, and I'm assuming this girl does. But we could totally have like a difference of opinion. But my clarification piece is like for like a mom going through a diagnosis and she's going through her own like real emotional, physical, whatever it is, torture, right? And having a child, like giving permission for an adult child to just say like you can say anything to your mom, you can say like who's going to do this and like show, you know what I'm saying, like yeah, a client you want them to push back, a little child you also do, or someone that's 18 or under, whatever that age is. but like but like I think that there's room for using the emotional strength that a person has to realize like That doesn't mean I have to stifle it. It just means that the mom right now is not the best person to ask this question to, or to have this particular conversation with. Like, that doesn't mean I'm wrong for wanting that conversation or having that question. It means I just might need to find another healthier support right now for that type of, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's using that
I
different.
do. I still feel a bit differently, but I'm thinking of like one way to bridge the gap
Yeah.
is that I think that, you know, the first a precursor, I guess, to what we're both saying
Mm-hmm.
would be understanding what the mother's, you know, I like the way you put it, like what the mother's emotional structure is,
Yeah.
right? So if you have a parent or parents who, you know, they cannot handle certain questions, or they get very overwhelmed with like big ideas, whether it's like a cancer diagnosis, or it could be like the flip, a positive
Mm-hmm.
thing, like planning a simcha or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know that they just can't handle it. Then I would be inclined to agree with
Mm-hmm.
you that maybe that's not the best person to process things with, not because you're taking care of that parent, because I do think that borders like
Yeah.
parentification, but because you're not going to get what you're looking
Yes.
for.
I agree.
But I think that for the parents that don't have that emotional
Mm-hmm.
structure, then I think it actually would be really important for the parent-child relationship, for the child to bring up their questions
Mm-hmm.
um, and to kind of ask away, not in like an overwhelming way, but just because they're in this like relationship with someone, and they want to know what they're feeling and what they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
experiencing, and they want to know, even if they're adult children, they're still the child in the equation. They want to know what's going to happen to them, and what's going to happen to their relationship, and how is it going to change,
Right.
and what they can do about it, you know? So I think that might be the
Yeah,
bridge, is
totally.
like understanding
Totally.
what the relationship is.
Yes, and I'm assuming that it's the former, meaning I'm assuming that the parent emotion, that mother's emotional structure is one that will be extremely overwhelmed with such a diagnosis, right? I think that only someone that's been working on themselves and, from every different perspective, and potentially is a therapist themselves, so they are used to emotional regulation, curveballs being thrown at them, whatever that is. I think that I'm assuming, my assumption is that this parent is extremely overwhelmed, and that, you know, just having a free reign of like being able to just like express, like having these questions, and the adult child's emotional reactions or responses being thrown at this parent might not do justice to the relationship. But I agree with you that 100% that there could be a different type of parent where they are a bit stronger emotionally in this way, and they would crave that bond and be like, ask me anything, and nothing's too much for me. I will process this in my own therapy. I'm getting the support that I need. Don't worry. I love you. I'm here for you. I want you to ask me anything. And for that parent, 1,000,000% I agree with you. And that would be probably like ideal for this adult child to be able to just have that free flowing relationship despite whatever's going on in the medical diagnosis space. But I was totally going under the assumption of the former. So I love that you bridged that and that you differentiated that. And I told you I got very emotional with this question. I was like,
Yeah, this is such a tough question, because I mean, just like really any question, it's so hard to answer questions that are on a two-dimensional like platform,
exactly. Yeah,
when we don't see this whole human
right.
being and know their background, or really anything about them other
Exactly.
than the question that they're presenting. So,
Exactly. No, but I think we did it.
I
I
hope
think
we
that
did it justice.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like if anything, they can feel that, our care, our compassion, our love, and our like empathy. I feel like that definitely came through, because it was like definitely like pulsating from both of us, and I think that that goes a long way. Number one. Number two, I wanted to say, like, for this person that asked the question, like, we're here for you. If there's anything that you think of that we can do, like, please reach out. And you know, this too shall pass. I think that's like a mantra that I used in my life, and like I feel like it's a helpful mantra. So like to just keep reminding yourself that everything passes eventually. So like you will get through this, and not to like sugarcoat things. Like, people go through hell, and like I'm hoping that this won't be the case for this person and their family, but I just want to make sure that like, you know, you realize that like dark times break with light times, and like that's life. And yeah, and I hope that it was supportive, you know, what we shared, and if there's anything more that we could do, let us know.
Beautiful. I second that.
Okay, thanks, Ali. We like totally went out on this one. We like had it was that
Totally.
was awesome. I love that we like had our disagreements, but like we came to like some sort of clarification, even though it's totally fine to like agree to
It's
disagree.
totally.
Exactly.
It's and you know, the Gottmans in their research, they say that the most successful long-standing couples, they actually agree to disagree on the majority of disputes that they have.
I love
So, you know, you and I can agree to disagree.
we're a successful couple. I love it. Yeah, we knew that already.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly.
thank you everyone for tuning in and sending so much love and support to everybody, and especially this young woman that asked the question. Really sending you love and support.
And you can always reach out to us for resources, like depending on where you live
Right,
also.
exactly. Like Michali probably will know some of those. I might know some of those, or I can dig into some of my network and definitely help. So, like, if there's a specific resource that you're looking for, I definitely think Chai Lifeline's a good try. And if there's anything else I think of, or anything else that somebody else thinks of that they want to message us, we will pass on the information, I guess, publicly, because this question is totally anonymous. So I have no clue who asked
Yeah.
it.
And also, the last thing I want to say is there are therapists who specialize in these kinds of
Yeah.
things. So that's the other piece, is like that this person can look into someone who's very, very experienced in working with people who've had a diagnosis of cancer
Mm-hmm.
or who have had family members diagnosed with
Yeah, I love
cancer. So that's
that you
like
said
a
that. I feel like we
whole
totally got carried
category.
away. We got like carried away without like saying like this person needs like this girl should be in therapy or support. Like definitely,
Yeah.
definitely continue on with your life as much as you can. Spend time with friends, engage in your
Yeah.
hobbies, dates, do whatever you need to do because that's ultimately what your mom wants. Yeah, so like those things I think were just like a given, and we got carried away with the other stuff, but for good reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, have a good one, Michali. Thank you everyone for tuning
Thank
in.
you. Thank
Take care.
you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.